All right, today on Author's Note, we're going dark with a very dark story, but quite thrilling. Author Jennifer Grazer Dornbush is a forensic specialist in real life and a screenwriter, along with author of the series The Coroner's Daughter. Thrilling crime novels, and her latest is out now. First of all, welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca.
So your background is where we want to start, right? So if people are unfamiliar with you, your dad was an ME. Explain how kind of you were raised that led you to where you are today.
Right, sure. So my father was a medical examiner for 3 counties in northern Michigan, and the office was in our home. So, yeah. So my sisters and I were raised with forensics from a very young age. My mother was sort of the administrator of the office, so it was definitely a family business. And I guess you could say forensics was sort of in my DNA.
And then you went on, and you have quite a background in it yourself. Talk about your training.
Yeah. Right. So after I started to actually become a real writer and take writing seriously, I realized that I was writing a lot of crime. You know, you kind of find your brand and your lane. And I went back to school to the the Los Angeles Forensic Science Academy, and I learned forensics, the whole gamut, the whole range of forensic science, because I wanted to be better educated in the entire field.
And that really leads to really having a real sense that what you're writing and what we're reading have that authenticity, which for crime novelists, that's really a huge calling card. Because if you're like into CSI or Bones, those kind of fans are going to be perfect for what Darkness does. So talk about this particular book, though. It's a real case that inspired you that happened in Michigan. It's really creepy.
It's very creepy. It's much creepier than what I wrote about. So when I was researching, this is book 5 in the series, and when I was researching, I went right to Newaygo County, which is where I'm from, just to see what kind of crimes had happened. And this came up. It was 1997 was the genesis of this crime, and it was a man who murdered a young mother, and most likely the baby daughter's never been found, because she was going to testify against him in a rape trial. He had raped her a year previous, and he drowned her in a small lake, and she was found about a month later, but the baby was never found. There's a trail of bodies as well that were never found, so we think that we're pretty much dealing with a serial murderer here.
Which is amazing, one that I had never even heard of. But when it comes to this particular, so this is book, you were saying this is book 5, kind of bring us into the world, though, of your main character, Coroner Dr. Emily Hartford. We should start with, I really think we should start with book 1, which I love because there's a whole world we can get into. Talk about Emily Hartford.
Yes. Oh, sure. So Dr. Emily Hartford is our protagonist of the series. And when we meet her in book 1, she is a budding surgeon in Chicago. She has fled from Michigan to Chicago when she was 16, because her mother died unexpectedly, and her father, who was the medical examiner, refused to investigate and really tell her what happened with her mother's death. So they have a separation, a breaking of their relationship. She's now in Chicago. She's been there for 12 years. And she gets a phone call after doing a very successful surgery and just getting engaged. She gets a phone call that she's needed back home because her father's on his deathbed. So that sort of brings her back to her small town in Michigan, where she then becomes quickly embroiled in the forensic life that she once had with her father.
So when it comes to, first of all, you do research, obviously, but how much of your own experience as the daughter of a medical examiner, I would think that there's a lot of dark humor when that was what you're growing up. Talk about kind of bringing in your real life into this series.
Yeah, of course, there had to be a lot of dark humor, because we did grow up around a lot of darkness. We did grow up around a lot of death, but my parents were very good about always keeping a good perspective on it. And we really did learn everything about death investigation. It was not uncommon to be sitting at the kitchen table having dinner, and then the sheriff calls and there's a fatality and dad gets called out in the middle of dinner. Every single holiday, drunk driving fatality. Death was sort of permeated into our lives. And so it just, mortality, all that became a very open topic. And I think because of that, and just learning about, the human nature, it it gave me a very good grounding for character, for plotting, for small town mystery. You know, I grew up in a small community, and really you're very quickly connected to everybody. And so when something happens, when a tragedy happens, it affects the entire community.
Excellent. So, all right, What Darkness Does is out right now, right? I mean, you
Mhm.
just came out last week.
Last week.
Where can we find it? Where's the best place to get it?
Yes, anywhere books are sold. So
Okay.
wherever you get your books, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, it's there.
Okay. And I always like to let, before we go, if you are new to Jennifer's work, what's the best way to find, like, where are you posting a lot? Where can we, like, be a part of your world? Your website or Instagram? Tell everybody what you'd like them to do after they see this.
Yes, I'd love you to be a part of my community. I have a newsletter. You can sign up on my website, which is just my name, jenniferdornbush.com. I have a pretty active Instagram account, LinkedIn.
I love it.
So
I did. I checked out your Instagram, and again, she's got some good behind the scenes kind of inspiration in there about how she's putting these books together. Congratulations on the new book,
thank you.
and thanks
Thank
for
you,
joining
Rebecca.
me on Author's Note. Okay, so after the break, it's time for a weekly dose of tech support with cybersecurity expert Dave Hatt.